For years, the world saw Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban as that rare Hollywood dream, a couple who seemed untouched by time, fame, or temptation. Love that looked flawless, smiles that felt genuine. But behind the flashbulbs and perfect red carpet moments, something fragile had started to break. The truth didn't explode, it whispered its way out. Through the pauses in interviews, the quiet distance, and the stories neither of them dared to finish. Today, as Nicole finally steps out from the long shadow of a 19-year marriage, what's unfolding isn't just a tale of heartbreak, it's a glimpse into what really happens when love starts to fade behind the curtain of fame. When the man who once wrote songs about forever begins to question whether love alone was ever enough. At 57, Keith Urban stands at a crossroads, 19 years of memories behind him, and a future that looks nothing like the lyrics he used to sing. To the public, he's still the smiling country icon, the man whose guitar speaks before he does. But to those watching closely, there's something new in his eyes, a quiet sadness, the kind of pain that doesn't need words. And then came the headline that confirmed the whispers everyone had tried to ignore. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban separate after 19 years of marriage. It was first reported by Reuters, a line that sent shockwaves through fans around the world. Not because it was completely unexpected, but because it finally made real what had long been hidden between their carefully chosen words and those flawless public smiles. Since that announcement, something in Keith's presence has shifted. His performances carry more weight now, his songs feel deeper, more vulnerable. The cheerful charm remains, but beneath it lies a raw honesty, as though he's finally singing the words he couldn't speak aloud about: distance, regret, and the silent truth that sometimes love just isn't enough to keep two hearts together. To understand how Keith Urban reached this point, we have to travel back not to the spotlight, but to a quieter beginning that felt like something out of a movie. The year was 2005. An event celebrating Australian talent brought together two of the country's brightest stars, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban. She, the graceful actress known for her mystery and power. He, the country singer whose songs carried the ache of real stories. Two lives moving on separate tracks collided in a way neither expected. There wasn't fireworks or drama, just an unspoken connection. Nicole later shared that she was drawn to Keith's calm kindness, the way he listened more than he spoke. Keith often said it was her warmth that captured him, a rare stillness in a world addicted to attention. By June 2006, that spark turned into a promise of forever. Their wedding in Sydney wasn't a Hollywood circus. It was pure, intimate, and full of emotion. A sacred ceremony at St. Patrick's Estate in Manly, surrounded by family and close friends. No flashing cameras, no publicity stunts, just two people choosing each other, far from the noise of fame. From that moment, Keith and Nicole's story felt like a modern fairy tale, the Hollywood actress and the country musician, blending two worlds with grace and love. To fans, their story wasn't just romantic, it was proof that even in Hollywood, real love could exist. Their chemistry on red carpets seemed effortless, the kind of ease that only comes when two souls move in perfect rhythm. Their interviews sparkled with laughter, affection, and that rare comfort of knowing someone truly. They spoke often about faith, family, and love, their quiet shelter against fame's never-ending storm. Soon, their family grew. Two daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret, became the heart of their world. Nicole called motherhood her greatest blessing, while Keith proudly described Nicole as his anchor. Together, they chose a home in Nashville, far from Hollywood's chaos, a decision that said everything. Two of the world's biggest stars choosing peace over pretense. For nearly 20 years, they seemed untouchable proof that real love could outlast the glare of the spotlight. In an industry where marriages end faster than premieres, theirs became a symbol of endurance. They showed up for each other, Nicole at his concerts, Keith at her film premieres, always side by side, always smiling. To the world, they weren't just partners. They were each other's calm in the storm. But as every story reminds us, even the strongest love can be tested by time. Not through betrayal or anger, but through the quiet shifts that happen when life pulls two hearts in opposite directions. Keith's career soared to new heights. Stadium tours, sold-out shows, awards, he was living the dream. But with every ovation came a cost. The long flights, endless hotel rooms, nights blurred into days. In rare moments of honesty, Keith admitted that life on the road could feel lonely, a truth that echoed louder than any song. For every applause, there was a missed birthday. For every award, a dinner table with one empty chair. Fame had given him everything he once prayed for, yet slowly took away the moments that mattered most. Nicole understood, at least at first. She had lived that same rhythm, that cycle of lights, scripts, and distance. But over time, the space between them grew wider. The reunions shorter. It wasn't about love disappearing, it was about timing slipping out of sync. The harmony that once defined them began to falter, replaced by schedules, obligations, and the unstoppable current of two lives moving in different directions. Each tour, each film, added another quiet mile between them. Every new film meant more weeks apart. They tried to close the distance with handwritten letters, late-night calls, surprise visits, but sometimes even the strongest love can't keep up with life's pace. The quiet truth was that both were chasing dreams that demanded everything. And in giving all they had to their art, they were slowly running out of pieces to give each other. For a while, they covered it beautifully. In public, their bond looked unshakable. In private, small cracks began to appear, the kind you don't notice until one day they're too wide to cross. Yet even through the distance, their affection never disappeared. Keith often said Nicole saved him her unwavering support, pulling him through his darkest battles with addiction. Nicole, in turn, spoke of Keith with pride, saying his music and passion inspired her every day. These weren't rehearsed compliments. They were raw truth. But even the purest love can reach a point of exhaustion. As the years passed, both reached the heights of their careers. Nicole stepped into what critics called her second golden age, delivering powerful roles in award-winning films and global streaming hits. Keith continued to dominate the country charts, touring across continents and mentoring new voices. On paper, everything seemed perfect, two stars at the peak of their brilliance. But behind the lights and the glamour, the rhythm that once connected them was beginning to fade into silence. And that silence, the quiet pause when words stop coming, often signals the start of an ending. Because love stories don't always break with noise or anger. Sometimes they dissolve in whispers, fading between flights, between sets, between applause and the lonely stillness that follows. Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman's story isn't one of scandal or betrayal, it's a story of humanity. Two people trying to protect something beautiful while the world kept pulling them apart. It's about the cost of success, the burden of distance, and the tender heartbreak that comes when you realize love, though powerful, isn't always enough to keep two souls moving in the same direction. Yet even in goodbye, there's grace. What they built wasn't a failure, it was a chapter. One filled with love, family, and lessons that will echo through their lives forever. And now, as Keith stands at this new crossroads, older, wiser, more reflective, one truth remains. The man who once sang of perfect love now understands real love. And real love is raw, imperfect, and sometimes heartbreakingly finite. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell, because more untold Hollywood stories are coming your way only on The Top Boxing. More untold celebrity stories are on the way, but few begin quite like this one. It all started like something out of a dream. Two stars from the same homeland, two souls who had walked completely different roads, somehow finding each other beneath the glitter of Hollywood. In 2005, during a gala celebrating Australian talent, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban met for the very first time. It wasn't a movie-style moment, no dramatic music, no slow-motion flashes, but there was something there. A quiet spark, subtle yet undeniable. Nicole would later describe it as a gentle connection, something familiar and safe, almost as if destiny had quietly stepped in. Keith said he was immediately drawn to Nicole's kindness, her grace, and the way she carried herself with effortless humility despite her global fame. Both knew too well how fame could crush something as fragile as love. Both had lived through loneliness, even in crowded rooms. And maybe that's why their connection felt sacred. It wasn't born out of fame, but out of the shared hunger for something real. By the time the world discovered their romance, their hearts were already deeply intertwined. Their relationship moved quickly, but with a quiet elegance, as though guided by something bigger than them. Keith would call her every night just to hear her voice. Nicole told her friends that for the first time in years, she felt seen not as a celebrity, not as a headline, but simply as a woman. Then came June 2006, the day their love became legend. Their wedding in Sydney wasn't a spectacle, it was a moment frozen in grace. St. Patrick's estate glowed with candlelight as Nicole, radiant in an ivory Balenciaga gown, walked down the aisle with calm joy in her eyes. Keith stood waiting, tears falling freely his face, saying everything his songs ever tried to capture. It was intimate, only family, close friends, and a few trusted colleagues. No flashing cameras, no magazine covers, just two hearts making a promise in the quiet of a sacred night. When they exchanged vows, it wasn't a celebrity wedding. It was a covenant, a pledge to stand together against the noise and chaos of fame. In a world where love stories flicker out as fast as they begin, theirs felt eternal. After the wedding, they moved to Nashville, far from Los Angeles, far from the spotlight. It wasn't an escape, it was a choice. Nashville became their refuge, a home where they could breathe, laugh, and raise a family without the echo of paparazzi shutters. Keith once called their Nashville home a small piece of normal. It was his sanctuary, a place where fame quieted down and love filled the silence. He would spend hours in his studio, writing songs inspired by their everyday life, the laughter at breakfast, the goodbyes at the door, the stillness after the girls fell asleep. Nicole, who had already reached heights most actors only dream of, found peace in the simplicity of being home. She'd take their daughters to school, cook dinner, and often say that being a mother and wife kept her soul steady. Their love seemed to bridge two worlds, his filled with melodies and tours, hers with scripts and cameras, yet somehow they always met in the middle. In interviews, they shared the secret to their bond: communication, faith, and the quiet discipline of showing up for each other. Keith would cross oceans just to be at one of Nicole's premieres. Nicole, in turn, would shuffle filming dates to stand in the crowd at his concerts. To fans, their love seemed unshakable, two people perfectly in tune. In an industry where relationships often fade faster than flashbulbs, Nicole and Keith looked like the exception. They became proof that love could survive fame, distance, and chaos when rooted in loyalty and devotion. But every beautiful story has its shadows. Behind the photos, behind the smiles and the laughter, there were moments unseen: the ache of long separations, the exhaustion after endless shoots, the nights when time zones made even a phone call impossible. They worked hard to protect their world, keeping it private, sacred, away from Hollywood's noise. Nicole once said, "We never go more than a few weeks without being together." But as success pulled them in different directions, those weeks began to stretch longer. Still, through those early years, their devotion didn't waver. In 2008, they welcomed their first daughter, Sunday Rose, a name that carried light and peace. Nicole shared that Sunday was inspired by Sunday Reed, a woman whose creativity moved her deeply. 2 years later, their second daughter, Faith Margaret, arrived through surrogacy, completing their family and adding even more love to their lives. For Keith, fatherhood changed everything. He often said his daughters made him softer, more patient, and deeply aware of time slipping by. Nicole, too, found new purpose in motherhood, saying her children gave her something no award ever could. Together, they painted a portrait of family life that felt both aspirational and genuine. They weren't just stars, they were parents telling bedtime stories, partners finding calm amid chaos. For more than a decade, their marriage looked untouchable, a rare Hollywood love story that actually seemed real. They had always been the couple who supported each other's passions, who seemed to have solved the puzzle of love under the spotlight. But what the world often forgets is that love stories rarely collapse in an instant. They fade slowly, almost imperceptibly, until one day, even those living inside them realize something has shifted. Behind the red carpets, the world tours, and the interviews, small cracks began to appear. Not from betrayal or anger, but from something far more ordinary: time. The more their success grew, the less time they shared. The harder they tried to hold on, the faster life seemed to move. Keith's world revolved around music-packed arenas, bright lights, and roaring applause that fueled him night after night. But when the crowds disappeared, the silence hit harder than he ever expected. Nicole, on the other hand, was entering what critics called her most powerful era, portraying layered characters, taking on bold projects, and redefining her craft. From the outside, both were thriving. But behind closed doors, they were beginning to drift, two lives once intertwined, now moving on parallel tracks. Their rhythm, once effortless, had started to fall out of sync. Yet there was no scandal, no public breakdown, just a quiet distance growing in the spaces between their schedules. Friends would later recall that period as heavy, full of love, but weighed down by exhaustion, the kind that doesn't come from lack of sleep, but from emotional wear. Keith often said Nicole was his anchor, and in many ways she was. But even the strongest anchors can lose hold when both are swept away by ambition. It wasn't about losing love. It was about struggling to keep love alive while chasing dreams that demanded everything. Over time, that struggle began to echo through Keith's music. His lyrics turned inward, his melodies softer, his performances charged with emotion too raw to ignore. For Nicole, her transformation showed up not in words but in silence. She smiled for cameras, attended events, spoke warmly of family, yet there was a stillness behind her eyes that told a quieter truth. Because it's easy to forget that even stars are human. Behind the perfect photos and elegant interviews, there are stories unseen, battles unfought in public. And for Keith and Nicole, that truth was as simple as it was painful. They still loved deeply, but love alone wasn't enough to stop life from pulling them apart. That magical beginning, two souls finding calm in each other, was slowly giving way to reality's quiet drift. Real. But as time passed, even the brightest stories can fade into something quieter, something bittersweet. And as Keith's tours stretched longer, as Nicole's projects demanded more of her time, their once beautiful harmony began to drift out of tune. What had once been a love duet full of rhythm, melody, and shared breath was slowly turning into two separate songs playing in different rooms. Yet beneath the spotlight, where the world saw perfection, the smiles, the laughter, the effortless chemistry, both of them carried a truth the cameras could never capture. That love, even when it's real and powerful, sometimes bends under the weight of extraordinary lives. Fame, distance, and the pursuit of dreams can turn connection into longing, and longing into silence. So as they stood before the world, performing the parts everyone expected, they knew deep down that something beautiful was quietly fading, not in anger, but in acceptance. Because even the most timeless love stories sometimes end, not with heartbreak, but with grace. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next chapter explores the true cost of fame, how distance, ambition, and silence can change even the strongest love into something unrecognizable. Please subscribe my channel for more unique and attractive videos.